Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? All right, let's get back to Vietnam a little bit because, man, talk about cleaning house. There has been one type of arrest after another, resignations all through the government due to all the corruption that's being exposed. So let's get into this, shall we? Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, head on over to our friends at Miles Franklin. The link will be down below in the description. When you make your purchase, make sure you use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and they'll take care of you. If you have any additional questions, you can reach us over here at this phone number or over here at this particular email. For all orders over $10,000, reach out by email and we'll make sure that you get a great deal. So come on over to Miles Franklin and add to your precious metal inventory. So the head of Vietnam's parliament resigns amid corruption crackdown. The top lawmaker in Vietnam has been forced to step down as the country's anti-corruption drive gathers pace. And the pace is very fast, by the way. The head of Vietnam's parliament has resigned over unspecified violations and shortcomings, the ruling Communist Party has said, as a major anti-corruption campaign Southeast Asia country continues. So they have been cleaning house on Communist Party members. And I don't know if this is by design or what, but look, if they're guilty, they're guilty. The party's Central Committee held an extraordinary session on Friday and approved the resignation of Mr. Hugh as the chairman of the 15th National Assembly, according to the state media outlet Vn Express. But it's not just that. Look at here. Vietnam jails soft drink tycoon for 8 years for $40 million in fraud. We know about the real estate one. We spoke about this before. The one that somehow committed $12.5 billion in fraud. She got the death sentence, by the way. Right here, Vietnam's president, Vo Van Thong, resigns amid anti-corruption campaign, so they are on a roll. Comrade Hugh violation and shortcomings have caused negative public opinion, affecting the reputation of the party, state, and him personally, the committee said in a statement. There was no immediate announcement about the replacement. Phan Ha, the deputy head of the Office of National Assembly and assistant to Hu, was arrested 4 days back. So not only did they get the big dog, but they got his assistant as well. Wow, man, they're cracking down. He was a 67-year-old top lawmaker who rose to the chairmanship of the parliament in March of 2021, has been a long-time figure in Vietnamese politics, also serving as deputy prime minister from 2016 to 2020. He had been touted as a possible candidate for the Communist Party secretary position, Vietnam's most powerful position. His position as head of the assembly was one of 4 posts described as pillars of the state leadership. The party said Hugh's resignation had been accepted and he would be removed from the Central Committee and the powerful Politburo. The resignation comes amid a large-scale ongoing anti-corruption drive called Blazing Furnace that started in 2016. The weird thing is we didn't really start hearing about this, so they might have started investigating back then, but we didn't really start hearing about a lot of arrests until recently. So they've apparently gotten enough evidence to start cleaning house. So this started back in 2016 and has picked up pace since 2022. Right there is what I'm talking about. Yeah, picked up pace is definitely an understatement when it comes to the description. It has taken down 2 presidents, 2 prime ministers, and has seen hundreds of officials disciplined or jailed. That's how bad corruption is over there in Vietnam. Vietnam's top soft drink tycoon was jailed for 8 years on Thursday in a $40 million fraud. Earlier this month, the court in Vietnam sentenced property tycoon Mrs. Lan to death for her role in a $12.5 billion financial fraud case that had seen the illegal control of Saigon Joint Stock Commercial Bank for a decade. If you guys remember her case, it isn't just her. There was a ton of politicians that were all tied into this case. Not just politicians, but you had people whose job it was to be oversight. They were all busted as well as being part of this corruption. Because there's no way in how that $12.5 billion of fraud could have been committed without a lot of inside help. Vietnam's former president, Vo Van Thong, had been forced to resign in March, just over a year after taking office, after what officials branded as violations and shortcomings. So this is the lady that we were talking about. Corruption is still seen as a concern in Vietnam despite death sentence. So in Ho Chi Minh City over there in Vietnam, while this month's death sentence in a multi-billion-dollar Vietnamese fraud case may show the power of Hanoi's anti-grift campaign, interviews in recent days showed continuing concerns over political impunity in Vietnam and vulnerability and corruption in the country's poorly paid public sector. So the corruption is a big part of what's really holding back Vietnam. Although Vietnam does thrive, they could be doing so much more better without all this crap. Meanwhile, 2 of those interviewed expressed doubt that the sentence would actually be carried out. On April the 11th, Ms. Lan, the 68-year-old chairman of real estate firm Van Than Phat Holding Group, was given the death sentence for embezzling $12.5 billion, leading to damages that have now reached $27 billion, as well as 20 years each for bribery and violating banking regulations. Part of the people that were guilty were the regulators. She was also ordered by the court to return $27 billion to Saigon Commercial Bank, or SCB, for taking out bad loans over 11 years. And I guarantee she doesn't have that money. In 2012, Lan merged 3 banks into SCB. Although Vietnamese law prohibits anyone from owning more than 5% of the share of any bank, prospectors said that through proxies and thousands of shell companies, Lan indirectly owned 91.5% of SCB. A senior lecturer at the Venn University in Hawaii said Lan's sentence shows that government's effort to impart a public message. We have to put it in context of the ongoing blazing furnace anti-corruption campaign launched by the party in 2016. They want to send a clear message to the public that they really want to clean up society and they are determined to combat corruption. If that's the case, then do public executions. That'll scare the crap out of anybody who's even considering doing what this lady did. The 38-year-old bank clerk in Ho Chi Minh City struck a similar chord in April 17th written message telling VOA that the verdict helps to restore faith in financial institutions. Lan and her people have used the banking system to take the money for their own purpose. A quick verdict helped gain back people's trust. No, what'll gain back people's trust is when they actually start serving out the sentences that they were given. However, a Southeast Asian expert and professor at the National War College in Washington said corruption is so likely widespread in Vietnam's banking sector, and despite the sentences meted out, high-level officials escape implication. So the people that are truly behind this, is that what they're trying to say, have not been exposed yet? The country's Communist Party definitely circled the wagons and made sure that some lower-level party officials and regulators were held responsible, but did not go any higher. See, that's the problem. You got to go up and get them all, every one of them. If you want to restore the trust in the public, then carry out these punishments all the way to the highest level, and then make sure that the public sees these punishments being carried out. So Vietnam definitely cracking down big time on anti-corruption. The enforcer of Vietnam's anti-corruption campaign has been appointed president. In Vietnam, former security chief To Lam's appointment as president will limit his influence over the government's sweeping anti-corruption drive, which will likely slow in the near term, easing political infighting and business uncertainty. However, Lam is still primed to take over the country's top political role in 2026, which would erode Vietnam's investment environment by pretending more official scrutiny and monitoring of foreign entities. On May 22nd, Vietnam's rubber-stamped parliament elected former Minister of Public Security To Lam as state president. The appointment marked the second elevation to one of Vietnam's top 4 leadership positions and the 3rd major position in the span of a week. With Tran Thanh, Man elected National Assembly chair on May the 20th, and Long Chung elected to Vietnamese Communist Party Secretariat on May the 16th. In a corresponding move, the National Assembly also voted to remove Lam from the prior position as a minister. So we don't talk very much about what's going on in Vietnam only because their corruption is really, really bad. But like they said, they have set out to do something about the corruption. To what extent is unknown. Until they start getting to the tippity top of the political scene, then they're not really doing a whole lot of damage. Just throwing people under the bus who won't actually serve out the sentences. We will see if they actually execute this woman. That remains to be seen. Anyways, that's it for now. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below, and I'll get back at you later. I'm out.